Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Monday morning here on the Outlaw Nation channel on a brand new episode of Mornings with the Outlaw, John Rocha. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a fun weekend. Hope you took some time to maybe take a little bit of a break from the self-isolation, self-quarantining, and kind of do your own thing. Sorry, adjusting the mic here. Kind of do your own thing. Get out there in the world, take a walk, listen to some music, hang out with somebody you love or care about, or maybe you just found a way to enjoy some new movies and TV shows again, or revisit some old ones that kind of brought you some comfort. Maybe having a tough time dealing with the self-isolation, self-quarantine, which I totally get. Trust me, I totally get. I have the moments of complete and utter just frustration about being indoors and wanting to break out and whatever. My weekend was pretty cool. My girlfriend came back for the weekend. She is taking care of her sister's dogs down in San Diego. So she came back. We hung out for the weekend, had a really nice time. We finished the entire Waco series on Netflix on Saturday, and then started House of Cards, which she's seen already the first, I think, 5 seasons. So I started House of Cards with her Saturday night and then into a little bit on Sunday as well. So I'm probably tearing through that series for the rest of the week. But this is Mornings with the Outlaw. It is me, John Rocha. And of course, Mornings with the Outlaw means it's you hanging out with me. Could go anywhere, could go to a number of different things, could go to a number of different angles, could go a million different places. Certainly the stories. Whoa, I'm a little white there. Hold on. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. Sometimes you got to adjust the camera a little bit. Let's see, maybe mess with the gain. Yeah, there we go. Weird. Okay, sorry, y'all. I'm still learning sometimes in this what time of day and what the lighting's supposed to look like, depending on the situation. There we go. A little more flesh colored. Anyway, yeah. So that's the situation. You never know what you're going to expect with Mornings with the Outlaw, what we're going to talk about, we're going to jump into. Of course, I put the topics there at the top of the title. We're definitely going to talk about Temeura Morrison coming back to play possibly Boba Fett. I mean, the sources say Boba Fett. In Mandalorian season 2. We're also going to kind of revisit or look at this incredible article in the New York Times about Val Kilmer. It's extensive. It is a long article, but I took out a couple of pieces from the article that I really want to talk about as a massive fan of Val Kilmer growing up. I'm sure a lot of you are fans of Val Kilmer as well. And then we'll wrap up by just touching quickly on the words from Chris Hemsworth about Taika Waititi and how he saved the Thor franchise with his director work in Thor Ragnarok. So just a little puff piece there at the end, but certainly want to get into the first 2 stories as soon as possible. Let me say hi to everybody. Remind you also the super chats and the Streamlabs are open. The Streamlabs are open. I'm logging in as we speak. So want to let you know you can send in your questions, send in your support for the Outlaw Nation through the Streamlabs or the Super Chat. Listen, the Streamlabs do not take 33%. That's the full amount, whereas Super Chat does take 33%. So if you can do Streamlabs, I prefer you sending in Streamlabs. But if you have to do Super Chat, I'm not going to stop you. Please, any support of the Outlaw Nation is much appreciated. Also, just want to say one quick thing to everybody who has signed up over the last 24 hours. I want to give some love to Billy Skaggs, Charles Harkins, Skirm, Checkerjoy, Adwayne DC, Leech 96, and Sashin Nair. All of them have signed up here for the Outlaw Nation over the last day or two, over the weekend, and given some love here to the channel. So if you haven't signed up, you haven't subscribed, rather below, please hit that subscribe button. Let us keep marching towards 15,000 subscribers, step by step, piece by piece, one person at a time. Getting there would be very cool. Oh, we already have a Streamlab that came in here. From Andrew G. Thanks, brother. Rest in peace, Jerry Stiller. I always knew him as Frank Costanza on Seinfeld, where everything he said and did on that was some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. I agree. Jerry Stiller, yeah, he died this morning. Ben Stiller released a statement about it. 92 years old, I think, died of natural causes. Very sad to hear him passing. Hear of his passing, rather. But then again, 92, that's a good life. 92 is a long time. It's an enjoyable time to spend on Earth. He's obviously was very successful as an actor and a performer. And then, of course, siring his son, Ben, who's completely successful as an actor and performer as well. Of course, his lovely wife, Ann Mara, who's also very funny, also a great actress in her own right, great comedic actress in her own right. Oh, and dramatic actress. I've seen her do some dramatic stuff that's been very, very well done as well. Jerry Stiller, always, very fun part of Seinfeld. Serenity Now! All of that stuff with him was great. Him and Jason Alexander's back and forth were some of the best back and forth you'll ever. I mean, the slap across the head. What were you thinking? The whole thing with the raincoats. All of that, just very funny stuff with Jerry Stiller. But also Jerry Stiller would show up in movies, Ben's movies, and other movies that were really a lot of fun to see him do his work in. So, yeah, absolutely sad loss for us. But overall, what a great life that should be celebrated. What incredible accomplishments and what a legacy he'll leave. He'll definitely be in a lot of our memories and a lot of people's memories growing up as they discover Seinfeld all over again. All right, Larry Lease has sent in a super chat as well. Let me see if I can find it up in here. Here it is. There it is. Larry Lease. Come on, guys. Hit that like button. Support Outlaw Nation. Going to be an exciting SCN Live. Oh, that's for sure. SCN Live starting at 10 a.m. this morning over there on the Schmodown Entertainment Network. 11:30 a.m. is when they're going with the free agent announcements. They're going to start announcing free agents. I already heard people have done videos and all this kind of stuff to hype it all up. So exciting stuff's going to be going on there at SCN Live. So don't forget to tune in at 10 a.m. to watch that go down. But I appreciate you all taking the time to hang out with me this morning. Got almost 100 of you all in here. Thank you so much. Please swing that, as Larry Leaks just encouraged you all, please swing that cursor button over, hit that like here on the channel, give it some love, and get us over 100 likes as soon as possible so we can start marching towards 150 likes, and then maybe even if we're lucky, get to 200 likes before the end of the show. All right, let's say hi to everybody who is in here as I go into the live section of the show. I want to make sure I've got the live YouTube stuff up here so people know, so I can keep track. Yeah, 95 y'all in here, 59 likes. Let's get to that 95 like thing as quickly as we can. All right, Andrew G, what's up? Ben Rayner, how's it going? MK Songbird, hello. Tavishka Productions, hello. What's up? What's going on, my man? J. Scott for real, hello. Let's see. Cameron Hainsworth, yeah, most definitely RIP to Jerry Stiller. Jerry Stills, as he says, absolutely. Big Chuck 420, whoop whoop. What's up, dude? Rick Samoris, hello. Larry Lease, good to see you. Just said hi to you, my man. William Lee Pratt, King Sport Cal. What's up, Calvin? Good to see you in here. Vanja Kostiak, yes, live from Croatia. Thank you for joining us from Croatia, my man. Really appreciate it. Tell more of your Croatian friends to watch me, please. I'll do a special Croatian shout out if you want to learn to say hello in Croatian or thank you for coming aboard in Croatian. Mukbang Reviews, good morning. Ronnie Padilla, good morning. How are you? Sean, what's up, Sean? Good to see you, my man. Thanks for all the communication over the weekend. Cameron Hainsworth, hello. Keith Hoffa, good morning, my man. Chris Hall, hello, Chris. Subscribe to the Finstock Initiative if you have not already. All right, Chris, and here promoting his own stuff. Respect. Nathan Etienne, hello. Miro King. Zachary Vale. Yeah, remember you can hit the like button even though the stream hasn't started. Yes, thank you, Zachary. I appreciate that. Let's see. Marie Zembeno. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, Marie. Good to see you. Randall Tan. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's see. What's it? Hey, Ring. Oh, wait. Tim Franco. What's up, Tim? Good to see you. The AZ Zombies in here. Movie Master 83. Let's see. Hail to you, my man. Matthew Hannon is in here. The next big rap star 92 is up in here. Adelia Chamberlain. Good to see you, Adelia. How are you? Let's see. Matt Young. Hey, Matt. Yeah, good to see you while doing some. Hey, John, listening to you while doing some rack pulls. 140 kg new personal best. So respect, man. Thanks for taking me along with you while you work out. I appreciate that. I'm trying to find me a set of Bowflex 552 Select dumbbells. Been trying for about a month and a half now. Maybe on Wednesday I might be able to pick some up for $500. We shall see. No expectations, but maybe, just maybe, it would be nice to be able to lift a weight or two while I'm sitting here self-isolating, which is super, super frustrating. So good to see you. Thanks for taking along with you while you work out, while you get your pump on and get yourself all set up. I appreciate that very, very much. Let's see who else we got rolling in here that I can say hi to before we start the show that I haven't said hi to yet. Let's see. Reagan Loving. Good to see you, Reagan. How you doing, my man? I think I said hi to Movie Master 83. Darth Niner, good to see you, Darth. Jay Scott for reals up in here. King, we always said King Sport. J Dog, what's up, Jay? Good to see you. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Hope you all had a wonderful Mother's Day as well. My apologies. Should have led with that as well. Hope you all had a wonderful Mother's Day yesterday, talking to your mom, touching base with your moms. I certainly had a nice conversation with my mother yesterday. Very nice to talk with her for about 45 minutes just and touch base. She's doing all right, doing well, staying indoors. Of course, she's older, so she doesn't want to risk getting anything. So she's been chilling out at the house, but everybody reached out to her and gave her a happy Mother's Day. So that's been great to see from her. So I appreciate any time you can have with your mom. It means a lot because you just never know in this life. It's a crazy little life that'll turn it around on you for sure. sure. Yeah, also, that's a good point. Corey Cameron, a little RIP to Little Richard as well. Little Richard, one of the best artists, one of the best rock and roll artists. Such an interesting man, interesting life for sure. But, Tutti Frutti, all those great songs of his that were just fantastic to listen to and enjoy, that carried on for many, many years. And a lot of artists credit their success and accomplishment and desire to be in rock and roll to Little Richard. So shout out to Little Richard. Let's see who else we got in here. Jake, what's up, Jake? I'm in here encouraging people to go to the Streamlabs. Send in your Streamlabs. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate that. Mr. Ang, good morning. How are you? Jenna James, hello. Yes, RIP to Little Richard. Absolutely agree. Let's see. Mukbang Review says, any new interviews to tease or announce? You're a great interviewer. Oh, thank you, Mukbang. I appreciate you saying that. Well, it's funny you should say that. Yes, as you guys already know, last week we had Isa Lopez on the Deep Cut, and that was a lot of fun to have her on the show. She was great, just absolutely great. And if you haven't watched that conversation, do yourself a favor. She is one funny, personable lady. It feels like you could have a beer with this woman and have an awesome time having fun and talking about life and horror and movies and struggles and how to accomplish things. She was just so great on the show. So highly recommend you guys getting a chance to watch that one. But tomorrow night on the Outlaw Nation show, Jeff Snyder, that's right, the Snyder Man. He is showing up tomorrow night. Well, with all the free agent announcements and stuff that's going to be talked about on Backstage tomorrow, I imagine Jeff and I are going to have a lot to go over. Plus, Jeff's approach to reviews, his breaking news, Jeff's like where he's at now, having possibly survived coronavirus a couple of months ago. We're going to touch on all that when I interview him tomorrow. So that's definitely something that's on the rack coming up here. And also, do I have a picture of it? Yeah, there it is. Coming up next week on the 17th, if I've got that right. Is that next week? Yeah, next week on the 17th, I will be having Greg Nicotero. We talked for an hour already about Creepshow, about Walking Dead, about his career and how he started out. Kind of guy he is. I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. What a personable guy, totally wide open to talk about anything and just so casual, man. It's so much fun to spend time with a guy like that. So that is Greg Nicotero coming on the Deep Cut next week. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for queuing me up for that. I appreciate that, Mukbang. You're very, very kind. Larry Lee said he loved the Outlaw documentary, but seriously, Bestman. Larry, it said once in the movie. Once in the movie, and it's a throwaway line. Cloud City, I knew. That's easy. Lobot, I knew. Lando, I knew. Everything I knew about that situation except for Bestman just didn't come to me in that moment. Larry, you've had brain farts. I'm quite sure you've had brain farts, Larry. So it happens to everybody. Try not to jump on the mistakes. Try to glorify the positive stuff in life, man. Just a little bit of advice. All right. I think that's everything. Christopher Yo is in here. Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate it. Got over 120 y'all joining me. IMAX, what's going on, man? I appreciate it. Good to see you. Psych. I hope I'm saying that right. Silk Bakran. Hope I'm saying that right. Vincent Zawada. Hello. And Absent Good. Good to see you. And that might ZCM Zombie Custom Maps. Oh, I haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you. Thanks, everybody, for joining me this morning. See, everybody ready. Everybody's ready today to have a little fun. All right, let's jump into our first story. That's enough preamble and intro. Let's jump into our first story, and that is, of course, the big news that broke last week, towards the tail end of last week, and that is the Temeura Morrison is coming back to to play Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 2. We're getting this from The Hollywood Reporter, so it seems pretty credible if it's coming from The Hollywood Reporter. Remember, Temeura played Jango Fett in 2002's Star Wars Attack of the Clones, but he is set to appear here in The Mandalorian Season 2, and this is already lining up to be quite a stacked Season 2 for The Mandalorian. Of course, you've got Gina Carano coming back to reprise her role. Of course, Pedro Pascal, Carl Weathers, everybody involved on that side of things. I'm sure Baby Yoda is back. But of course, it was announced that Rosario Dawson will be Ahsoka Tano. Well, announced, rumored. She hasn't confirmed it yet. And of course, Michael Biehn coming back to play some sort of bounty hunter, but a lot of people are speculating. And this, by the way, this hasn't been confirmed by Lucasfilm or by Disney yet, that Temeura Morrison is officially coming back to play Boba Fett, but that's what the sources are telling The Hollywood Reporter. I'm pretty happy about it. Remember that Jeremy Bulloch and Daniel Logan played Boba Fett, different versions of Boba Fett, obviously, throughout the history of Star Wars on film. Daniel Logan in the prequels, Jeremy Bulloch in the original trilogy that came out in 1980 with Empire Strikes Back. Of course, that's where he was first seen. But a lot of people speculated that it was Boba Fett because of the spurs you saw in the shadow for that episode, The Gunslinger, standing over Ming-Na Wen's character, Fennec Shand. A lot of people speculated that it was Boba Fett there. So we're definitely going to see that. At least that's what the rumors are saying. The other thing is this. Remember Boba Fett? Remember that Temeura Morrison played Jango Fett. Let's bring that. That's the other one. There it is. Played Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones. And of course, that you find out that Boba Fett is a clone of Jango, and he's just raising him as his own son. So it stands to reason that Temeura Morrison would play Boba Fett because of the connection there. And of course, Jango didn't live, getting his head cut off by Mace Windu. By the way, is Mace Windu becoming one of those characters that people just don't like? Is that, I feel like the vibe around Star Wars lately is that people just are not a fan, are becoming like a less and less of a fan of Mace Windu, and maybe want to walk away from that idea of Mace Windu. I don't know. I just sense it from some of the stuff I see online, some of the conversations I have with friends. Like, it was cool that Samuel L. Jackson was part of Star Wars at the time, but then it was like, oh, you get a purple lightsaber? All right, we'll let that go. You get to be exclusive. And then he does the things in the films. But then, of course, in the season of Clone Wars, this last final season, a lot of people said that he was kind of a jerk on the show. So are people souring on Mace Windu? Do people really want to see a Mace Windu series? I'd love to see a Mace Windu prequel series and see like how he came to become a Jedi. That would be a lot of fun, I think. Let me see. So people say Mace Windu's do. All right. So maybe I'm misreading it. It seems like I thought a lot of people thought maybe that they weren't having it, but a lot of people feel like a lot of people here responding quickly are saying they do like Mace Windu. So all right, Mace Windu. All right. I'm just hearing things. I'm just hearing things in the wind. I'm just letting y'all know. I feel a little bit like it's hanging out there. The people just not are the biggest fan of Next Big Rock Star says, Rocha, there's dicks out there. Do not listen to the hate. Well, just saying, having a difference of opinion is not being a dick. Okay. No Windu. Some people don't like Windu. Okay. So a couple people started to chime in saying they don't like Windu. Oh, a good suggestion, J. Scott for real. Read Shatterpoint. Yeah, okay. I will get on that. Absolutely. That sounds cool. Anyway, so just touching base on that with Temeura Morrison. Of course, I've been a fan of Temeura Morrison since Once Were Warriors. That was back in the early 90s when the independent film movement was kind of taking off and foreign films were coming over that were kind of independent foreign films that you could enjoy and watch. And I remember that was one that I rented or watched on IFC. I think I watched on IFC, but it had been like, it had some kind of buzz as one of these small indies. And, that's the thing I enjoyed the most about coming back into film in my 20s was kind of like discovering these independent films and these independent film actors and all these movements that were going on. That was a lot of fun. And Temeura Morrison was one of these actors that was just, man, it was, if you've never seen Once Were Warriors, that is a whole other side of Temeura Morrison that does not do in a lot of these franchise films. He is very chilling as a abusive villain in that movie, and brutal villain in that movie, but a fantastic film overall, and kind of showcased what we could see from him. And of course, it took some time. We've seen him recently in other things like Aquaman, and I think he was in that Dora film as well. So we've seen him show up in certain things, and of course, certainly as Jango Fett in Star Wars Attack of the Clones. So this will be fun to see him doing Boba Fett. However, let's jump into a couple of things that I want to talk about here on this idea. Because if Boba Fett is alive, then the question becomes, how did he escape the Sarlacc pit at the end or at the beginning of Jedi? How did he escape the Sarlacc pit? Remember, they turned him into a little bit of a buffoon in Jedi, and he gets thrown into the Sarlacc pit where in Empire Strikes Back is kind of a quiet badass, And of course, the comic books have done a really good job of kind of building Boba Fett back up, and the fan base has been a massive overall a massive fan of Boba Fett. Yeah, there's the occasional outliers where people are like, well, I never was that impressed with Boba Fett. It wasn't that big a deal to me, blah, blah, blah. But me personally, as a massive fan of Boba Fett, because I think he's Latino, Rocha Fett, I was always championing him and hoping he would get more time to do his thing and more time for us to discover his character. But in The Mandalorian, we saw that, they don't have to necessarily come from Mandalore. They could be adopted kids. They could be kids who are like from terrible situations. Orphan children can become Mandalorians. So that is interesting. So is Jango really Boba Fett? Or is Temeura Morrison really playing Boba Fett? Or is Temeura playing another character? Now, just because Temeura Morrison is appearing in the show does not mean he's appearing as Boba Fett. The sources say he's going to play Boba Fett, but we'll see. And remember, this brings up the idea of clones, which of course brings up the idea of Rex. And will he play Rex down the road? Is that what he's doing with the clones? There's a lot of rumors. Temeura Morrison has said he wants to play Rex. He wants to play these clones in Star Wars. So would he be playing Rex? Or a version of Rex here in the show? That would be interesting too. But the reason I bring up this idea of Boba Fett, let me throw two things out at you, okay? And this is my personal point of view and looking at the situation and doing a little bit of analysis, doing a little bit of research as I get ready to launch Jedi Way this week, finally, once and for all. I was looking at this idea of how does he survive the Sarlacc pit. So I did some research, taking a look at some possibilities, and a couple of things popped up for me that I found very interesting. Now, back in 1996, in January of 1996, there was a book released called Tales from Jabba's Palace. Tales from Jabba's Palace. And in that book, there was a story called A Barv Like That, The Tale of Boba Fett. And it tells, now this is not canon, so this is like legend stuff, but it tells a story of how Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc. Boba Fett apparently awakens inside the Sarlacc pit, and via the Sarlacc, he makes a telepathic contact with the first of the Sarlacc's victims, a thing called Suseho, a person called Suseho. And Suseho was the Sarlacc of the Great Pit of Carkoon, formerly a Malakoi. Suseho fell victim to the Great Pit of Carkoon on Tatooine. Now, remember, this is where we saw Gunslinger. It was set on Tatooine, obviously, and before his consciousness was merged with that of the Sarlacc. So Suseho fell victim to the Great Pit of Carkoon on Tatooine before his consciousness was merged with that of the Sarlacc. So the Sarlacc has a consciousness, right? The very young Suseho fell into the Sarlacc pit around 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin. After being swallowed by the Sarlacc, he passed time by trading stories with an unlucky Jedi who shared his fate. By 4 years after the Battle of Yavin, his personality had merged with that of the Sarlacc, which had digested him alive for thousands of years while it absorbed his consciousness. Thus, Suseho's personality embodied the creature, rendering it indistinguishable from the ancient sentient. This is coming from the wiki, the Star Wars wiki. Suseho introduced himself to Boba Fett when the bounty hunter fell into the Sarlacc pit throughout Fett's stay. So clearly he was there for a while. Suseho, the Sarlacc, and Fett had several lengthy conversations. It was by goading Suseho that Fett made the Sarlacc contract around his jetpack, which created a means of escape by exploding and pushing him out there. So that is how he supposedly escaped from the Sarlacc pit. That's one way that he escaped from the Sarlacc pit. A series of flashbacks ensue showing some of the Sarlacc's other victims, including a pair of Corellians and a Jedi. Which Jedi? What Jedi is in there? Will we get Suseho in this? Would that be interesting? Other flashbacks detail Boba Fett's delivery of the frozen Han Solo to Jabba. Inside the Sarlacc for some time, Fett is immobilized and his armor is heavily damaged by the creature's digestive system. He learns that Suseho can exert some control over the Sarlacc. So he goads Suseho, making the Sarlacc contract around his jetpack. The resulting explosion frees the bounty hunter from the Sarlacc's grasp. He then fires concussion grenades into the wall of the beast, blowing a hole in its interior. Boba Fett then escapes the Sarlacc, which, like him, is badly injured but still alive. And then a year later, Fett returns to the Sarlacc in the Slave 2. Due to his prior contact with the Sarlacc, he can reestablish telepathic connection with Suseho. He decides not to destroy the Sarlacc yet, but promises to return. So, very interesting stuff. Is that how Boba Fett escapes the Sarlacc pit? Is that how Boba Fett, we're able to see him again in the Gunslinger in that episode. We're able to see him in season 2 of The Mandalorian. I know it's a lot to kind of take a look at. Let's see. Didn't you all, yes, yes, I know he's of Maori ancestry. Absolutely. Commander Cody, maybe. Rex. A lot of people like that. Rex. He adapted to the environment. Didn't taste too good. Mando, how are you? Mando, meet Boba Fett. Mando, this is Mando, but the Sarlacc pit takes years to digest stuff, very slow, so it's easy for him to escape. Let's see. A lot of people said, I'm not a fan of Boba Fett. Another person said he blasted his way out. He did survive. He got shatted out. There's another one, thermal detonator. So a lot of interesting a lot of interesting comments here. But what do you guys think about it? Do you think that this is the situation? Do you think he escaped? What does Sean say? Well, Sean, what'd you say? It's nice to have a brother as a Jedi. Very funny, Cal. I just wish Window could have said, may the force be with you, mother effer. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So what is this gentleman that you talk of? I'm from the backwoods of Oklahoma and have never seen or heard this word. Yes, Suseho. So Suseho is an interesting character here because he's a young Jedi or young person, actually, who falls into this pit. Let me see if I can get a little bit of background. Suseho was the Sarlacc of the Great Pit of Carkoon, formerly a male Choi, or a male Koi. They're aliens from the planet Koi. A Koi named Suseho was eaten by the Sarlacc on Tatooine and talked with Boba Fett. Now, this is all, once again, this is not canon. This is all legend stuff right now, so not very much in the world of Star Wars officially. A very young Suseho fell into the Sarlacc pit around 4,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, as I stated already. And he started trading stories with an unlucky Jedi. It's a female Jedi. So we don't know which Jedi. It's a female Jedi that's in the Sarlacc pit already when Suseho is eaten. And so they both kind of have, or consumed. So they both start to trade stories and have a connection with each other. Essentially, they're in some kind of creature prison, I guess you would say, a species prison. And because it takes so long to get consumed, you got to pass the time. If someone else gets consumed by it, obviously you're going to, it's almost like you're in a prison. You're going to trade stories. You're going to tell stories, things of that nature. Sorry, y'all. The mouth gets dry when I'm just talking all the way through. All right. So he combines with the Sarlacc, and it essentially takes the personality of the person. Let's see. Keys Moran, initially intended for the Sarlacc. Okay. Suseho made his first and only appearance in this short story that I mentioned, A Barb Like That. It was written by Daniel Keys Moran under the pseudonym of J.D. Montgomery and published as part of the Tales from Jabba's Palace anthology. Keys Moran that's J.D. Montgomery, initially intended for the Sarlacc to be sentient, but ultimately gave its contribution to the story to Suseho when Lucasfilm vetoed the possibility of the Sarlacc being intelligent. So there's a possibility that they're walking that back and turning the Sarlacc pit into a sentient being. That could be something that would be interesting to explore here on the side of things of how he escaped. So we'll see. All right, I got 140 y'all in here. Please swing that cursor button over, give it a like, give it some love. Chris crossed 100 likes. Want to keep marching towards 150 likes. What do y'all think about this? Do you think this is an interesting way for him to get out? Let's see. Let's see what people think here. Remember, send your Streamlabs through. Send your Super Chats through. I want to read them. Got a bunch of Streamlabs I'm going to get to in just a second. Let's see. Yeah. So he blows up, escaped the robot chicken away. That's funny. What if they give no explanation? He just shows up, just leave it a mystery, says Jonathan Charles. I don't think they'd be happy about that, to be honest with you. You guys were having a sidebar. Okay. Respect, Tavishka. Sorry. I thought you were asking me what that whole thing's. Sounds like a new podcast. Do you think we may see him escape the Sarlacc pit? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He may escape the Sarlacc pit in this way. All right. Now, here's the second possibility that is also kind of from the canon as well. And this was mentioned in a couple articles. Cobb Vanth. Let me bring that up. Let me bring that up here for you all to take a look at. Cobb Vanth. There it is. Cobb Vanth is the possibility as well. He was a human male that lived around the time of the Battle of Endor. He was a slave who rose to become the sheriff of Freetown on the planet Tatooine, which of course, once again, where Gunslinger takes place after acquiring a set of Mandalorian armor from the Jawa in after the Battle of Yavin, 4 years after. The following year, Vanth enlisted the services of Jabba's former animal trainer Malakili, who of course was raising a young hunt named Borgo. Malakili, of course, is also the guy who owned the Rancor, who Luke killed in Return of the Jedi. Months later, Freetown was later attacked by the Red Key Raiders, but Cobb managed to enlist the Tusken Raiders' help in driving the criminals away. What you need to know from that is that Cobb Vanth is a human male who got Mandalorian armor from the Jawa, and he was a slave who ended up becoming the sheriff of Freetown. Little is known about his origins. Cobb Vanth was once a slave, as we just said, who had a star-shaped scar tissue carved onto his back as a sign of ownership. By the time of the Battle of Endor, Vanth had freed himself and became the self-appointed lawman of Freetown. Following the death of Jabba the Hutt, Vanth encountered Adwin Charu, a representative of the Red Key Mining Company, which was actually a front for the Red Key Raiders crime syndicate. Charu had just obtained a chest of Mandalorian armor from a group of Jawa scavengers. Charu had been sent in by the crime lord, Lorgan Mavellan, to retrieve the armor. So this eventually is how our Adwin and Cobb have a little bit of a battle there, and Cobb ends up taking the armor and shooting Adwin and telling Adwin to let everybody know that he is, essentially the new sheriff in town, and that he's going to be handling business and taking care of Freetown from there. Adwin accused Vanth of being a monster after he was shot. Cobb responded that he knew that Adwin was working for a crime lord and that he would be bringing law to Tatooine. It would not tolerate criminal elements like the Red Key Syndicate. By the year 5 years after the Battle of Yavin, Vanth had established himself as a sheriff and de facto mayor of Freetown, which was the name of what had once been Mos Pelgo. So he's now, and here's the other thing that could be in Cobb Vanth's favor. This could be Boba Fett. Once again, Temeura Morrison, yes, possibly playing Boba Fett, or Temeura Morrison appearing in Mandalorian season 2. That's different. Could be two different things. So maybe that's why Disney hasn't confirmed it, because they haven't 100% or officially said or want to say that Temeura Morrison is playing Boba Fett. Maybe Boba Fett and Temeura Morrison are appearing in the show. Does not mean that Temeura Morrison is playing Boba Fett. Could be this Cobb Vanth character, because Cobb Vanth is a secondary character who appears in 3 interlude chapters in Chuck Wendig's Star Wars: The Aftermath trilogy. His lines are told from the point of views of Adwin Charu in the first novel, Aftermath, Malakili in the second novel, Aftermath Life Debt, and Lorgan Mavellan in the third novel, Aftermath Empire's End. So Boba Fett could be this human person, and Temeura Morrison could be playing Rex or Commander Cody or somebody else as a clone here of the Fetts. So that could be interesting as well. All right, so a lot of stuff to explore, a lot of stuff to kind of consume and process and think about. But of course, only Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy and people involved in the production know what's really happening. They haven't confirmed it. Is he coming back as Boba Fett? That would be very interesting. So there we go. All right, 11 comments here have rolled through. Let me see here. A lot of people think they'd like to see it as a mystery. If they're smart, they'll just leave it as a mystery, says J. Scott for real. Well, we'll see. Zeno R says, I hope on the show there's multiple theories about Boba escaped the pit, kind of like Heath Ledger's Joker explaining his scars. That could be interesting. Boss comes to save him. Nice, Christopher. Yeah, I like that. Oh, I got a super chat here. Martinez show. He says, I'm fine with him returning. I just hope the explanation and appearance isn't too complex or takes away from the show. Yeah, maybe I've been too complex in explaining this, but I think it's important to see two possibilities here and two possible ways they can go with this story that I find interesting and I find fascinating. Cobb Vanth, or the other one where Boba Fett kind of starts to have conversations with this sentient Sarlacc, or the victim of the sentient Sarlacc, and then finds his way out of the Sarlacc pit. That is certainly possible. Let's see. By the way, this has been a super nerdy discussion. I'm loving it. This has been a 35-year debate. Yeah, maybe I lost some people because I started out with 146 watching at some point, and then I'm down to 125. So maybe some people were like, this is too nerdy for me. I don't like it, and they jumped out. So we shall see. Okay, let's see. Luke 4X is a kind word. Says, hey, Mr. Rocha, big fan of Cinephiles. Love your content and unique insights. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. Django wasn't treated much better. I was pretty disappointed as a kid since he was used so heavily in the marketing. Yeah, I mean, that should have let you know what was going to happen with Captain Phasma. Star Wars, sometimes they'll market people, they'll push people up and get you excited about them. And then when they show up on screen, they don't fully flesh them out as well as they do their main characters. And that will break your heart. Movie Master 86, it's nerdy, but interesting. All right, cool. Interesting is what I'm going for. Yeah. All right, let's jump in. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, what Temeura Morrison is doing. They haven't confirmed, but it will be season 2. Season 2 comes out in October. So this will be curious to see what we'll get from Temeura Morrison on the show, what we'll get from Boba Fett on the show. It's only supposed to be, from what the Hollywood Reporter article says, a small role. It's not going to be a big role, so it could just be one episode and maybe 2 or 3 scenes, maybe. With Mando or what have you. We'll see. But anyway, we'll just see. I'm just excited about it overall because I like Temeura Morrison. And of course, he did voice, let me get the thing here. I want to make sure I give him some props here because I think he voiced Django and Boba Fett as well as other characters in various Star Wars video games. So it's not his first time playing Boba Fett. He's certainly got experience doing that. We'll see. Hollywood Reporter is saying sources are saying Morrison is playing Boba Fett. It's always possible that something sneaky involving cloning is going on. So that could be it. Maybe we get 2 Boba Fetts. Maybe we get the human Boba Fett and the clone Boba Fett in this situation. We'll see. Either way, it could be a lot of fun, and I trust in those guys in Filoni and Favreau deeply for what they were able to do. Yeah, it could be Rex. That's what I'm saying. Could be Rex, Ben Wellington. Very good point there. All right, let's jump into some Streamlabs from you all. Oh, and one more thing before I jump into those Streamlabs, just a quick little shout out for programming that's on my channel real quick. And that is our review, the Geek Buddies review of Star Wars, The Clone Wars Season 7. We did our spoiler review, dropped it on Friday. So if you haven't listened to us break down the season, give our thoughts about it. It's about a 35-minute review of the season and our thoughts on the 3 separate arcs that occurred in the season. Of course, the Bad Batch, then those middle 4 episodes, and of course, the last 4 episodes were essentially an animated movie that was incredible for Ahsoka Tano and what happened there with Anakin's turn and everything like that, and her fight with Darth Maul. So if you want to hear our thoughts on the Geek Buddies, you definitely can download that and listen to it. It's on the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network, and it's on my YouTube channel now that you're watching now. So a lot of information on that review as well. Me, Mike Vogel, and Shannon McClung breaking it down. All right, let's jump into some Streamlabs. Let me take a drink real quick. All right, where do we leave off at? Okay, yeah. ZCM Zombie Custom Apps wants to know, did you watch the new Mark Ruffalo show on HBO? Also, are you on SEN today? No, I did not watch it. I didn't know it came out already, so I will definitely make a point to watch it because the reviews have been really great and the trailers have been interesting as hell. And I love Mark Ruffalo as an actor, so I'll definitely be watching it. I am not on SEN today. As far as I know, I have not asked to be on, or I have not been asked to come on, so I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I will be watching at 11:30 a.m. for sure to see the free agent announcements. I'm going to run some errands after I'm done here and make sure I'm back home to watch it at 11:30 for sure. So that'll be interesting. So tune in for that as well. Chris Hall says, subscribe to the Finstock Initiative. Ask Gucci Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. PST. JT is a special guest. Submit your answers to askbobbygucci@gmail.com. Okay, so apparently there's a new show called the Finstock Initiative with Finstock asking or interviewing people there on the show. All right, cool. Interesting. Andrew G says, I called it. I totally called it in December after episode 5. Temeura Morrison will be back as Boba Fett, and they all said I was crazy. Well, who's crazy now? Boba's a clone of Django, so of course they'd get him back. Boba also survived in the old legends. There we go. Yeah, which I just went into. Andrew G said, I don't know if any of this is true, but it actually would make sense. I've also been seeing a lot of rumors that out there that Morrison may also appear as Rex with Ahsoka and Sabina all in one episode to set up a spin-off sequel series to Rebels. Yes, there have been rumors that Sabine is also going to appear in The Mandalorian, in season 2 of The Mandalorian, Sabine Wren. There's been some rumors that have popped up as well. Not confirmed, but there have been some rumors that have popped up as well that's possible. So that could be, seeing that what I'm saying, that could be the way they kind of play both sides. Temeura Morrison is back, Boba Fett is back, but doesn't mean that Temeura Morrison is playing a Boba Fett. I mean, that could be interesting too. I've seen Latino movie reviews say that Hayden Christensen. I've seen Latino movie reviews say that Hayden Christensen may also be returning to appear as Anakin Skywalker in the Kenobi series. I'd imagine in a flashback. What do you think of this? I'd love it, and I think it's possible if he really wanted back in. I love the idea. I think it'd be great. Look, I mean, it's time to see what Hayden can do with it now, this many years later. Maybe there's a more settled Anakin. Hayden Christensen as Anakin. Maybe a more grounded Hayden Christensen as Anakin. And maybe in different hands, no offense to George Lucas, but maybe in different hands, you'll get a better performance out of Hayden Christensen. Maybe you'll get a better emotional connection with Hayden Christensen than we had in the prequels, at least for me. Some of you all may defend the prequels and defend that relationship and defend Christensen's performance. I don't. I think there are moments where Christensen is very much so like acting not above the material, but disconnected from the material, in my opinion. And of course, we know Natalie Portman, for her part, apparently went into a very deep hole of depression about it all because she really didn't like her performance throughout those prequels. And sadly, for an actor, those prequels are forever. So people are always going to discover that performance over and over and over again. So it's a tough situation to be in. Yeah, I'd love Hayden Christensen to come back. I'm a big fan of Hayden Christensen. I'm going to say it over and over again until I get it right. So I'd love for him to come back in any form. And the Kenobi series makes all the more sense. Did you guys see what Adam Hlavak posted on Twitter, which I found interesting? It was Dave Filoni talking about the Darth Maul fight with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of Phantom Menace, the Duel of the Fates, essentially. And he went into this minute and a half, not rant, but monologue about the situation, kind of explaining what he thought was going on here between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Kenobi, and that they were basically fighting for the fate of Anakin. And Qui-Gon dying, of course, leaves the fate of Anakin in the hands of Obi-Wan. And of course, Obi-Wan does kill Maul, but it kills Maul. But that is what he talks about. But he said, like Obi-Wan, and at that point, then has to take on Anakin, and they're like brothers. But I thought most of it up until that point was pretty revelatory and very interesting for Filoni to talk about. And for myself personally, and I tweeted about this, I absolutely believe that the brothers situation is why Anakin turns. Kenobi is essentially forced to be the mentor for Anakin. He never wanted Anakin. He says, what are we doing with this? These are useless creatures. Same thing with Jar Jar. Like, Kenobi was never one of these people that was into the idea that Qui-Gon was picking up these stray people and trying to connect them into the world. So he wouldn't naturally have a, strong connection with Obi-Wan. And throughout the Clone Wars, as much as they talk about Clone Wars, redeeming Hayden Christensen, not redeeming Hayden Christensen, but redeeming Anakin Skywalker as a character, and the turn is even more heartbreaking, and it certainly is in season 7 when you just hear it in Ahsoka Tano's head. You never sense that Kenobi and Anakin are necessarily friends or tight people, So that, I think, ends up aiding the situation. There's no real family member because he loses his mom too, and Qui-Gon essentially could have been his pseudo dad. Losing both of those things allows Anakin to possibly veer into the dark side a little bit easier. So I thought that was a very revelatory monologue from Filoni about that battle. Andrew G says, I'm not sure how involved, if at all, Filoni and Favreau are with the Cash and Andor series, but do you think there could be an appearance by Ahsoka, aka Fulcrum, in that, since it will likely have some of it set during the early days of the rebellion? Yeah, I think it's absolutely possible. I think it's absolutely possible, Andrew G. Why wouldn't it be? I think that's a great situation for them to slide Ahsoka into. That'd be a lot of fun. All right. Tavishka says, I have always loved Boba Fett, and I'm totally fine with him coming back since he went out in a slapstick way. Cue the Benny Hill theme. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Tavishka. I think we should bring him back in a more badass way, and we shall see if that ends up becoming the process that they go on to bring him back. Okay, all right, that's a lot of comments there. A lot of people sending your Streamlabs. Thank you so much. Keep sending them in. Keep sending your Streamlabs and your super chats in. I really appreciate them. Let's see. Some people have also been looking at the situation. Joel made a move. Let's see. Here we go. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, there's a Streamlabs as well. There's the address. If you're looking for the address, send in your stuff. Would be a lot of fun. Let's see. Last minute from Orloff. No, I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't know Mark Ruffalo's show was out too, Ben Wellington, so I'm going to get involved in that as well. Best lightsaber battle in the saga visually. This is J. Scott Friel about the lightsaber battle at the end of Force Awakens. Ben Wellington says Qui-Gon's defiance and his will to act outside the council is what Anakin has brought into it. All right, we shall see. Kevin Smith, do a fanboy till make me the star. Okay. Reginald Brown is Kevin Smith, do a fanboy 2 like movie. Make me the star of the movie. Reginald tries. Respect to Reginald, man. Reginald tries. He tries to get on the radar. He tries to get on the tries to get seen. So I respect it, Reginald. I respect it. You gotta do things though, Reginald. You gotta get out there. You gotta do things. You gotta get attention somehow. That's how you gotta do things. Or do your own thing. You never know. You never know. All right. I think that's everything for the Streamlabs and Super Chats for now. Let's jump into the second. Let me see if I want to be sure. All right, cool. Let's jump into our second topic. And the second topic, of course, as I mentioned earlier in the show, is something I'm very excited to talk about. And that is Val Kilmer. This article that came out in the New York Times about Val Kilmer. It was a really extensive article that I thoroughly enjoyed reading, and I encourage you all to read it as well. I know sometimes you have to subscribe or you have to sign up for it, but you can do if you are I think you can get like 3 articles for free. If you've never gone to the New York Times to read this article, just type in Val Kilmer New York Times. The article is by Taffy Brodesser Ackner. Want to give her credit. Fantastic article, very in-depth article about Val Kilmer, where he's at right now, and about his cancer, and about his Christian Science beliefs. The Mark Twain short movie that he was trying to screen at South by Southwest, and then he goes into his career, and they talk about his career and the questions and what happened with him. And of course, that's what he looks like now. He wears the scarves to cover the tracheotomy surgery he had on his throat cancer, and they described his voice, I think something like a whisper to a voiceless roar, something like that. So it's a shame to hear that. And those of you who saw that terrible film, The Snowman, Kilmer is in it, but of course his voice is dubbed over. So he tries to do his thing as an actor, and you try to watch him as an actor, but you can tell there's things wrong, obviously, with his instrument, and he's working through it thanks to the surgery for the tracheotomy for throat cancer. By the way, in the article you discover, he does not believe that he ever had cancer. Christian Science, he thinks that the lump in the throat that ended up, bringing the cancer on was a result of stress or fear or worry. So he manifested it through his beliefs in Christian Science. And I'm not denigrating anything. He believes that he can pray the cancer away. He can do what he needs to do to remove the fear and the worry of the cancer. So when they say he has cancer, he never says, I do have cancer. He says, I had something that occurred. And he said he only did the surgery for his tracheotomy because his family, who are not Christian Science people, and that being his ex-wife, Joanne Wally, who of course was in Willow with him. That's how they got together and got married. And he has kids with her. They encouraged him to get the surgery. And so that's what he's doing. And he apparently has his office here on Melrose, and the store is here on Melrose. So I may take a trip as one of my errands after I'm done with the show today and roll on over there and see if I can buy me a little Val Kilmer stuff that he has there. That could be a lot of fun. Maybe put it up behind me somewhere and have some fun with that. So there you go. But anyway, he talks about this whole thing about Batman. I want to bring him up as Batman as well. Right here, that was a big part of the story. Remember, he played Batman in Batman Forever with Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. He was called, Joel Schumacher called him psychotic in an interview after directing him in Batman Forever. He was supposed to be in multiple sequels, but ended up pulling out. A lot of people, there were rumors that he pulled out because of scheduling difficulties with The Saint. Although other people said that there were some troubles with him on the set of The Island of Dr. Moreau, that he apparently touched his lit cigarette to a crew member's sideburn, which Kilmer claims was an accident. You start to hear these things have come out for a number of years about Val Kilmer and people's desire to work with him, people's the reputation he's garnered. And when he was asked about this, he said, everyone has to work out their own salvation, how to live and by what morality. And I found that the part that I feel bad about is hurting somebody in the process. Now, when he gets to Batman, he talks about a story from his time as Batman. And one day he was filming and he was about to take off the bat suit when Warren Buffett and his grandkids came by. Warren Buffett, big investor, very, very rich investor and predictor of stock markets. He's a billionaire a few times over. They wanted to see Batman, so Kilmer stuck around in the suit, but they didn't want to talk to him. They wanted to try on the mask and ride in the Batmobile. He says he understood then that Batman isn't meant to be a real guy. Batman is meant to be so anonymous that the person who is looking at him can see himself in him. That's why he said, quote, that's why it's so easy to have 5 or 6 Batmans, he says. It's not about Batman. There is no Batman. And so what kind of thing is that to play? A person whose job is to be as non-specific as possible. He looked good in the Batsuit, but wearing it was torture. And when he took it off, he was finally free. So very interesting approach to playing the Batman, that there is no Batman, that when we look at Batman, we look for ourselves in Batman. We look to see ourselves in Batman, to connect to Batman by seeing ourselves in that costume, that it's almost irrelevant who's playing it. Do you think that's true? I mean, I wonder, it made me really think so. I wanted to hear what the Outlaw Nation thinks about this. Do you think this is true? Do you think he created this? Do you think this idea of Batman, because a lot of people have complained that these Batman movies are good, but they don't 100% make Batman the star of the movies, right? This is something I've said on Movie Talk, on previous episodes of Movie Talk way back when, the idea that Batman should hopefully this version of Batman, Robert Pattinson, will make him the center of the movies. Because in the Michael Keaton films, you do talk about Michael Keaton, sure, but you're also talking about Jack Nicholson's Joker and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and Danny DeVito's Penguin, and even in Batman Forever. Are you talking about Val Kilmer's? Do you remember that Val Kilmer was a great Batman, or do you remember Jim Carrey as the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face more, or even Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian in that movie? Do you remember her more, or even Debbie Mazar and Drew Barrymore as the Riddler's two henchwomen? I'm sorry, Two-Face's henchwomen. I'm sorry, I'm going to drink some more. And of course, Batman and Robin, you remember the cheesiness of Schwarzenegger as Dr. Freeze, and then you remember Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, or Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, or even Chris O'Donnell as Robin, or the nipples on the Batsuit. You don't really remember George Clooney playing Batman or Val Kilmer playing Batman. You know that they did, but do they have any scenes that stand out? Keaton, you could argue, has more scenes as Bruce Wayne that stand out than any scenes as Batman, right? And in Batman, and in the Christopher Nolan series, what are you talking about? You're talking about Val Kilmer. You're talking about Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. You're certainly talking about Heath Ledger as the Joker, and which is Kalinowski's main complaint about The Dark Knight, is that it's not really a Batman movie. It's a Joker movie that Batman is in. And then the third one, The Dark Knight Rises, you're talking about Bane and the accent and whether Tom Hardy nailed it or didn't nail it, more than you're talking about Christian Bale as Batman. And then you even turn the Christian Bale thing, some people turn into a joke with his voice, where are the drugs? They've made jokes about it. So these are the things that I'm interested in. It just got me down into a little bit of a tailspin with Kilmer's thoughts of this idea that we actually don't care who plays Batman as much as we care that the person looks good in the Batman suit, so we can see ourselves as the Batman. We can see ourselves in the Batman. Is that how it works? Is that what connects us to that character? Is we like to see ourselves as these avenging angels. We like to see ourselves as these people looking for revenge. We like to see ourselves as these strong fighters of crime, or tortured people who are trying to take out vengeance against criminals at night. Does it matter? who plays Batman. I love the idea that it's actually only relevant in the way that the person fills out the suit, looks good in it, so that we can like gravitate along, or we can go along with the character playing, with the actor playing Batman, and gravitate to him on a visceral level and put ourselves in the suit ourselves. I mean, how many of us have not wanted to put on the Batman mask or the Batman costume and walk around? Certainly, if you see an old Shimodan episode, Kalinowski wears the full Batman outfit. So it's interesting. Tavishka says, I mean, I wouldn't mind being a millionaire playboy vigilante. Of course. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Ben Affleck's another one you can talk about as well. Ben Affleck in this situation. Ben Affleck, what were you more interested in Batman v Superman? That was, I think, the first time we got Batman without any kind of anything, right? Ben kicking ass in that warehouse. That's Batman, right? That's what you're talking about, right? That's the fight that you're talking about more than any other film. I think that's the fight when you think about Batman and his ability to fight, his brutal ability to fight that we'd seen in the comics. That's the Batman you remembered, Adam West, even his Batman. What do you remember? You remember poor deluded child. You don't remember these great emotionally awesome scenes with Batman. So it's about connecting to the character and making sure the actor playing him is, translucent enough for us to slide in there and possibly see ourselves in the Batsuit as well. So I found that to be a very interesting philosophical approach to it, in my opinion. Wow. Let's see. I want to hear what you guys think. King Calvin says, I've always said the best thing about Batman is that people think or like to think they could be him. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, a lot of people interesting. A lot of people commenting about Val Kilmer's career. Yeah, of course, Tombstone and Ghost in the Darkness, right? The Salton Sea is very interesting. Good question. Movie Master 83, is his voice issue permanent? I don't know. He said that he's eventually going to be past this, and we'll see if he's actually past this. But no, they don't know for sure if it's going to be permanent or not. Here's another one. Ronnie Padilla says, is Val Kilmer going to be in Top Gun 2? Yes. He is confirmed to be in Top Gun 2. And he said in the interview, he says that him and Maverick are friends. We're good friends. So obviously they're not rivals in the film. And maybe they would have been if Val was in full health, full condition health. And maybe there's something they could have explored there with Val. But yeah, so he is in the movie, and he says they are friends. I still believe that it's Val Kilmer in that coffin. I still believe it's Iceman in that coffin in the trailer. We'll see, just because, Maverick puts the wings on the coffin. That to me indicates that he is in that coffin, in my opinion. All right, let's see. Loop X sent in a super chat, said, would you recommend watching The Mandalorian to someone like me who's not really a big Star Wars fan? I enjoy some of the movies, but am not as much into the extended universe. Yeah, Loop, I can't even stress more strongly that you should, because The Mandalorian doesn't need you to have watched anything else. In fact, it was created for that purpose, that the people who've watched all the other stuff can enjoy it even more at deeper levels. But the people who are just discovering it for the first time can just watch along and enjoy this character. You get the background of this character, which is important. They don't make it so that you have to do the research on Google. You get the idea of what this character is, how he came to be what he is. You get this idea this character is protecting something precious in his mind. And these people come into contact with him. And a lot of these characters, a lot of these species we've never seen before in Star Wars. So definitely, if you've never seen anything from Star Wars, The Mandalorian is a great series for you to just enjoy and watch if you're into the character. And that's for you to decide off the first or second episode. Do you like the character? Do you enjoy the character? And if you do, you're going to go along with this character through the series and kind of take something from it, take anything from it that you want to take from it as you watch it. And if you're a Star Wars fan, the series has even more to offer you, bubbling below the surface. So that's what I would say in response to your answer. Let's see. What else have we got here? Anybody else sending any super chats so far? Yeah, Brian says, you watched The Mandalorian. Yes. So what do you guys think about the Batman thing? Oh, yeah, he's got to be ready for the Willow sequel. I'm writing for Lucasfilm. He says, I wish. I respect that. Let's see. I think playing Bruce Wayne would be more challenging than Batman. Batman talks to him and kicks ass. Bruce Wayne has to be more human. That's a great point, Xander Jones. Very, very good point. I agree. You have to be your own thing. Yeah, John Lestrina, referencing what I mentioned about Dave Filoni. Hearing Dave Filoni talk about Star Wars is awesome. Yeah, I agree. They should just hand the whole thing to Filoni. To be honest with you, just hand the whole thing over to Filoni. Let him do his thing. Let him create what he wants to create, and put him in charge of the situation. Let's see. I saw you lean into Kilmer's health issue. True, you don't want to service the actor, but service the character and story. I think we have enough writing creatives to figure out how to work it in. Yeah. Are you saying I say they lean into Kilmer's health issue? Right. I think that's what they're going to do, to be honest with you, in the Top Gun 2. We care who plays Bruce Wayne. Val was not a good Bruce Wayne. True. Val was not a good Bruce Wayne. He wasn't a bad Bruce Wayne, smooth guy. He was, Val's a pretty chill dude who's at that time. So we'll see but I agree with you. We care about Bruce Wayne. We do, because that's who he is, but it has to be an extension of Batman, and not everyone has been able to get that right. And I think we've yet to see a good Bruce Wayne and a good Batman in combo. I think we're good. Each one has been good at one or the other, but never the both. Maybe Keaton is the closest we've come, but then again, did you buy Keaton as a millionaire? Because I didn't. So I don't know. All right. Let's see what we got in the Streamlabs, and we'll jump into our last topic here real quick before we wrap up. Let's see what we got here. Just one came through from JJ Winward. He said, waiting for a Watto return to be announced from Mandalorian season 2 somehow. Much love, Outlaw. Yeah, JJ _Winward, waiting for a Watto return to be announced for Mandalorian season 2 somehow. That would be hilarious. Watto. Hey, Mando. I don't know. I don't think you could do that, man. Honestly, I don't think you can do that. I think you get in so much trouble. Where's little Annie? Where's my Annie? What do you mean he's Darth Vader? Annie is Darth Vader. No, this cannot be true. Anyway, there you go. That's my Watto invitation. It could be funny to see Watto in Mandalorian season 2. That's good. Thanks for that laugh, man. I really appreciate it. Okay. Sorry, let's move on to the last topic. And that is, where are we at here? Oh, that is Thor Ragnarok. That's right. Val Kilmer. Chris Hemsworth. We just did. Oh, one last thing to wrap up. I should say one last thing to wrap up. Definitely read that article. Like I said, it's an extensive article. It's a long article. But if you're a fan of Val Kilmer, like I am, I have enjoyed him. Obviously Tombstone, loved him in Heat. Real genius. People have a lot of love for Top Gun. Even Willow, of course, people love him in Willow. I like Thunderheart. I'm a fan of Thunderheart. So I've been a fan of Val Kilmer since the beginning. There was something about him that I always enjoyed and gravitated to as an actor. And in the piece, they talk about his beginnings, as a young actor in Juilliard and all the things he did and what his approach to the world is and why he got lost in Hollywood. And, sometimes I think we get caught up in trying to judge other people instead of like creating a little bit of grace to understand people's journey. I mean, are you the same person at 20 that you are at 40? Were you a dick in your 20s or your teenage years, but then in your 30s, you realize what a mistake it was, but people are still hounding you about being a dick and they don't want to let you change or being a jerk, or if you're, male or female, if you were a jerk back in your teen years or your early 20s, but then later on, as you get older, you realize what a mistake that was and you change as a person. Do you want people to hold that over your head for the rest of your life, or do you get to atone for it? Do you get to be forgiven for it? Do you get to understand that your journey had to include these stumbles and missteps and mistakes? And yeah, maybe you were a cocky jerk and an arrogant tool. So hopefully you can turn that around and seek apology and seek closure and redemption and forgiveness for those actions. So I think that's what we get so caught up in, just trying to destroy people. I think there's a way to open the door to understanding for people like this, who as they get older have more of a circumspect view of the world and approach to the world. I'm sure a lot of you watching are different people than you were when you first started out, or like then 10 years ago. I'm sure you're different people than you were 10 years ago. So that has to be a part of it as well. Anyway, find that article, read it. I think it's a damn good read and very, very well done by Taffy there over at the New York Times. All right, anyway, here we go. That's what we're talking about here, Thor Ragnarok. And I'm talking about it because Chris Hemsworth was giving an interview to GQ and talked about his situation with Thor and Taika Waititi. And remember, sorry, Sorry, y'all. Remember Waititi came in to do Thor Ragnarok after the two previous Thor films were box office successes, but didn't get that great of reviews. And a lot of people felt like Thor Ragnarok was going to possibly be the last attempt to get this Thor thing right. And a lot of people think that Taika Waititi came in and injected new energy. Certainly I feel that way. New energy, new humor, new approach, funny stuff, kind of got rid of the romance with him and Natalie Portman that had what a lot of people felt was almost zero chemistry in the first two films, and made it about Thor going back home and what he has to experience with his family and everything with Odin and Loki. So all of that was involved there in Thor Ragnarok. And here's this quote. He says, he's insanely fun, talking about Taika Waititi, but don't mistake that childlike, frantic energy for someone who isn't prepared. That's quite a unique combination that he has the ability to, through humor, put you at ease, but is also armed with all the knowledge that a director needs to lead you through the process. And it came at a time when I desperately wanted there to be more humor to the character. So that makes a lot of sense for so many reasons, right? I mean, Chris Hemsworth has obviously proven himself to be a pretty funny comedian in his films, or have funny scenes in his films. Certainly, he's one of the best parts of that Ghostbusters remake from 2016, I think, with the ladies there. That was a valiant attempt. Just wasn't my cup of tea for me personally, but I enjoyed his scenes. He was very funny. He was certainly very funny in Thor Ragnarok, and it's almost like the film took on Taika Waititi's personality, right? Which can happen with directors. The film is supremely funny, sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek, goes for the easy jokes, the blue humor, so to speak, but never loses the stakes of what's happening here, of what can happen, and what it could lead to. And just that Valkyrie scene alone is heartbreaking and terrible to conceive of. And then you have Hela, and Hela showing the truth about Thor's father, about Odin, how terrible Odin was, and that Odin kind of hid away Hela so that nobody would remember the terrible person he was in the past, right? So there's the difference. There's people who bury their past and try to create a new future and never atone for their past. And there are people who want to atone for their past. There's two different paths you can always take if you were a dick or a jerk in your younger years. You can bury it and try to believe it never happened, and present yourself as something that you're really actually not, and never atone for it, and never feel like you have to atone for it in some arrogant way. Or you can atone for it, seek that closure and understanding and forgiveness from the people. So very interesting stuff when you look at this and the approach. So yes, Taika brought a lot of the humor to it. Taika brought so much joy and fun to Thor Ragnarok. But Hemsworth recognizing and realizing his input and his importance to the series is probably why Taika's coming back for the fourth installment as well. And of course, why Star Wars would want to give him a movie to direct as well, which is, of course, what broke over a week ago. So you have everything's lining up for Taika Waititi quite nicely, to be honest with you. And he seems to have not lost his humor. If you watch the first season of What We Do in the Shadows, of course, he's an executive producer, and I think he directed a couple of the episodes. And he also appears in it in one of the episodes in season 1. I just finished the episode for season 2 over the weekend, the latest one. He hasn't appeared in this season yet, but of course, him and Jermaine Clement certainly executive producing the series. Very, very funny show. If you're not watching What We Do in the Shadows, you're missing out like crazy on that show. That is such a damn good show. You're missing out on it. But yeah, all this stuff going down with Thor and with Taika, this makes all the sense in the world. Makes all the sense in the world for Chris Hemsworth to give it as much love as he did. Let's see here. And of course, I'm looking forward to it, but it's got to take some time because it's going to be pushed off, I think. We'll have to wait a bit longer than we expected to see of Thor, Love, and Thunder, which, of course, is bringing back Natalie Portman. So this will be interesting now because he jettisoned that storyline in essence with them making them break up in Ragnarok in a funny way, too, where it was like, oh, it was mutual, when we know it wasn't. And now bringing her back into this film, into Thor 4 and the Thor, Love, and Thunder. How will this relationship be now? Of course, she becomes it's rumored that she's going to become the female Thor. So how does that go about happening? So it's going to be very funny. And I'm sure it's going to be at Thor's expense, but he's not going to lose. That's the thing that's great. I'm not going to lose credibility. That's the thing that's great about Hemsworth's performance as Thor as well. I think I got to make this very, very clear. He is willing to be the butt of the jokes But because he is such a good-looking dude, such a personable fellow, such a charming actor, we are okay with him being the butt of the jokes, and he doesn't come off having his power undercut. He stays who he is. So for us, we're almost thankful that he's the butt of the joke because it makes him human. It makes him more relatable, more vulnerable. And so we can connect with that character more. So brilliant stuff with how Chris Hemsworth plays it. Of course, under the great direction of Taika Waititi. We shall see what happens with the fourth one. Of course, everything's been postponed or pushed back rather because of coronavirus and COVID. So we shall see. All right. Any more Streamlabs or Super Chats? Don't want to miss anybody's Super Chats before I wrap up here. I'm wrapping up here in about 3 minutes. Let me see. Nope. Oh, no. Okay. Great. We got everything squared away. So I'm going to wrap up there. All right. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of Mornings with the Outlaw here on the Monday morning. I can't believe it's already time to wrap up, but it's been a blast hanging out with you all this morning. Love talking about this stuff. Love hearing your points of views and your thoughts. You guys are incredibly great. It's just an honor to have you all joining me every morning as I do this show. There are conversations happening that I may move the show to an evening show, just letting you all know that the possibility is out there, that it'll be a longer show, a 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. show. I'm trying to bring people in live to talk more as I go into things, and I'll be even more vocal about other things as well. So we shall see. We shall see. There's rumors about it. But for right now, I know a lot of people are joining Mornings with the Outlaw. If the views stay consistent, maybe I'll just keep the show here, and at night I'll do a separate show. That's a possibility too. But I've appreciated you all joining me on this Monday morning after Mother's Day. Once again, hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. For any of you who are watching who are mothers, I hope you had a lovely Mother's Day as well and got treated like a queen or a princess that you are by your family members and your friends, even though we're all social distancing, except for those idiots in Colorado and those idiots in a number of other places around the country who are mass gathering. And we just found out in Pasadena that a birthday party is the reason 5 new cases of COVID-19 popped up. So it's just like, people, stop gathering. Just stop gathering with your pugnacious, stubborn stupidity and possibly causing health scare issues to other people. And there was a picture from a plane, a United or Delta or American, I think it was. People were full. Everything was full inside the plane. It's like everyone's wearing masks, and it's just like, what is happening here? So just crazy stuff. Anyway, all right, that's it for me here on Mornings with the Owl. Let's move. Let's end in a positive way. Don't forget to join me back here again Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. to talk some more about what's going on in the world of entertainment. Certainly don't remember that later on today. Please remember later on today at 2 p.m. PT going live with another brand new episode of Game Time with me and Winston Marshall and Jay Washington. You know those shows are crazy and literally off the chain. Off the hook, these shows. These guys are just so much fun. You never know what's going to come out of their mouth. You never know if their internet is going to work. You never know how they're going to frame themselves in camera that makes no sense to you. I am such a massive fan of both these guys, and I wouldn't want to change them in any way, shape, or form because the chemistry between the three of us is so powerful, so much fun. So one of the greatest discoveries of the Outlaw Nation is being able to do a sports show with those guys and bring our chemistry over and have so much fun with it. And it's no holds barred. Certainly works blue. Certainly cuss words in this thing. So just a warning ahead of time. But a lot of fun. We're going to talk about Last Dance, the last 2 episodes that aired last night for the on ESPN for the Chicago Bulls documentary from the 97-98 season. We're also going to talk about some Zion Williamson news that has popped up. We're going to talk about the NBA and the MLB and their plans to return. We're also going to talk about the Capitol suspending that forward for some misogynistic comments that he made that were leaked. So a lot of stuff, a lot of sports stuff to get into and talk about and dive into. So come and join us, and maybe I'll bring you on live to ask questions. We haven't done that in a couple of weeks, so maybe I'll do that, and I'll put the link out there for people to come on live, ask questions of me, Jay, and Winston on the tail end of the show. But yeah, come join us 2 p.m. PT live on the Outlaw Nation Network. And please remember to subscribe down below there. Where it is at the Rocha says on Twitter and on Instagram. Trying to get Instagram above 20,000. Trying to get that Twitter above 35,000. So come and join and be a part of that. Remember to subscribe to the channel below as well. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. Come be a part of the Outlaw Nation. Trying to build to 15,000 so we can start marching towards 20,000 as we go forward here on the channel. Of course, my Patreon as well, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. Please be a part of that. See all the multiple tiers we got going on there. See all the shows that we concocted. 4 new shows for the patron. That's for the patrons, rather. 4 new shows will be coming. They are only for the patrons. One is Criterion Corner. There's going to be a debate show. There's going to be a show about a series where I explain things that occur in films, highlighting certain movies and westerns, highlighting certain films. There'll be watch-alongs as well, and of course, there'll be a show where you will get to train me for the Schmodown. Look, now that this tournaments are going on, the IG tournaments, the Star Wars tournaments, I have a feeling that we are starting to get closer and closer to being in-house. And I know Christian wants me to play Ethan in-house in the studio. So I need to start getting ready now with this trade. Ethan being under Sam Levine, being under Rachel Cushing, being with Andrew Guy possibly. There is a lot of essentially it's a handicap match. It is 4 great players versus 1. So I'm going to have my work is definitely cut out for me. So come and join the Patreon and be a part of it and have some fun. And of course, join me on Twitch as well. The Outlaw Nation, all one word, the Outlaw Nation on Twitch, lowercase. I'll be going on there a few times this week. So that'll be a lot of fun. So come and join me on Twitch as well. And I think that's everything. Much love to all of you. Thank you so much. Please share the show. Like the show. What did we end up at on likes? Did we get up to 150? Yes, we did. Boom, 152 likes. Thank you all so much. But yes, please like the show, share the show with your social media, because when you share it, you're basically telling people that you approve of the show, you like the show, so your friends and family will take a chance on the show, and maybe they'll sign up for the Outlaw Nation and become a subscriber as well. So thank you all so much, and I think that's it. We'll talk to you next time on another brand new episode of Mornings with the Outlaw. Take care until then.